Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Relationship, Friendship, Lifestyle Conversations with Osayua Mesali, and I'm your host for tonight, Uwer, coming to you live from Lagos. Tonight is going to be an exciting night, given that our very first episode on this show, we had talked about, when is the right time to walk away from a marriage? And I got a lot of feedback, a lot of people calling and saying, how did you do it? Blah, blah, blah. So I said, you know what? I am the expert. So I reached out to a friend of mine. She's a very dear friend of mine. And, she decided to grace our set this evening, or the conversations this evening, to bring her wealth of wisdom. And I will bring her in a minute. But quickly, I just wanted to say that before we go into the conversation tonight, we're talking about redeeming a rocky marriage, because it was important for me to bring up this topic because, as I'd mentioned, our very first episode, if you've not watched it, by the way, you can go on YouTube or here on Habs TV, just search, you would see the very first episode that we talked about when is the right time to walk away from a rocky marriage. And the feedback, offline, the feedback was phenomenal. A lot of women called me and said, well, I do not know that you're going through the same thing and all of that. So I felt, okay, so this wasn't unique to me. But the question of how did I resolve the issue, how did I resolve my marriage, how am I still in marriage, that answer I cannot give, because my life is just unique, it's different. So I can't, and it's not, the experts will tell you can size fit all when it comes to relationship, because we're all humans and we're all different. All right, so I just went through Google, as always, because Google is my friend, to just get signs of a rocky marriage. How can you tell that you are in a rocky marriage? Even before we even talk about redeeming the rocky marriage, right? How do you tell that you're in a rocky marriage? First, it says you can't let go. You can't let the past go. This happens to me all the time. I'm always bringing up issues that happened even while I was in university. We're 15 years in marriage. I can remember clearly everything that happened with my partner. So I cannot let go of the past, right? You can't let go of the past. That's one. Number two is you fight about everything. Well, this doesn't really happen to me, but I just feel like I'm agitated sometimes about a lot of things. Number three is you're hiding money. So when your partner is hiding money, you are in a rocky marriage. So in case you're watching this and you know someone that is going through this right now, start to share the link and let them come in, because when we bring in Kemi, she's going to be, breaking it down for us how to redeem all of these challenges in a rocky marriage. Number four is you don't make decisions together. He's always making his own decision on his own. You're always taking your own decision on your own. That is a rocky marriage. Number five is you start thinking about what might have been. I find myself in this one very much. I'm thinking of my ex. If I had known what would have happened, I should have just married my ex. I should have just married my ex. Maybe I would have been in a better relationship. So I find this happening all the time. Number six is infidelity. This happens a lot. When you're in a rocky marriage, there is always infidelity. Number seven is separate bedrooms. Well, I do not do separate bedrooms. Even if I'm quarreling with you, we'll still sleep on the same bed. It's fine. But when you start to have the need to want to be in separate bedrooms, you know that, you're in a rocky marriage. Number eight is the sex has dwindled. This is very vital. When your sex life is going is nosediving, you're in a rocky marriage. Number nine is you're not taking care of yourselves anymore. This is very, very important as well. And you start, number 10, finally, you start introducing distractions to hide from your problem. So you're always looking for activities to do and all of that. So those are the signs. I just thought to bring up these 10 signs to know. So if you know anyone going through this, the person is in a rocky marriage, and you need to share the link so that they join the conversation. Thank you to everyone that is watching currently. Thank you again for everyone that has tuned in. We're discussing redeeming a rocky marriage. And my guest for this evening, she's a dear sister of mine. We've done so many trainings together. We've done radio together. I was just reminiscing that I've done radio with this madam many, many years ago. You know, Kemi is sorry, give me 1 minute. She is Kemi Tony Akinwumi is a psychotherapist and a relationship enthusiast with over 15 years of experience in the family life industry as a certified marriage counselor. Kemi is very passionate about relationship management and counseling, and has been supporting couples enjoying a thriving marriage through her various events and initiatives. I mean, Kemi is the one that we take couples to the beach. You must kiss each other, you must hug each other, you must love each other. She is currently the lead consultant with Pasture Counseling Center. Kemi is also a lecturer at the Adi Counseling School, a faculty member with the Institute of Family Education and Development, and a board member with African Network of Professional Counselors. So you see, I had to go and dig out the best. And thank you. She's joined in live with me. Thank you so much, Kemi. My dear friend and sister.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Well done for all you do. I
thank you. Right. Thank you so much. So, Kemi, you heard me reading out the 10 signs of a rocky marriage. Did I leave out anything?
Right. You were spot on. Everything you mentioned, I actually have been noted down as well. Those are the signs. Maybe one or two things you missed out. Yeah, but you mentioned something similar. Thinking about divorce. You know, it's also something that by the time you start thinking life after, you know, I think it will be better with someone else. It will be smoother with someone else. You are thinking, you are already considering your options, you know, and then your affection is for someone else. You want to talk to this guy, you want to talk to this lady, you are fond of each other. There's someone in your corner who is giving you the attention, who is just loving up on you, you know, and you are feeling, you know, cool about it. So thought of divorce also, but everything you mentioned is it's actually the signs of a marriage that has gone stale, right? You are also feeling lonely. You are feeling lonely. You just feel that I'm alone in this marriage. It could be 5, 10, 20, 25 years, but you just feel that you are alone. You feel don't have a companion, someone to talk to share life with, to be intimate with, to get vulnerable with, you know. So when all of these are in a relationship and it is consistent, it's enduring for more than a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, then it is really, really, you know, a marriage we can term as being in a crisis.
Okay, so Kemi,
right,
when we started this very first broadcast on marriage, relationship, and friendship, so for me, getting this YouTube channel running was to start to have different conversations. I'm not interested in getting 1 million followers, but I'm interested in finding the people that need me, finding the people that are ready to be vulnerable, and the people that truly need help. So, I mean, so when I talked about my marriage, I got a lot of feedback. Pastors called, friends called, everybody's calling, oh, what's happening, and all of that. Because someone had said something that so actually the person actually thought that I had left my marriage. So I was no longer living with my husband. And I could say that. I said, no, I'm still very much together. You know, Kemi, why do people feel very, very afraid to talk about the challenges that they have in marriages? Because I will come to redeeming the rocky marriage, but I want to just understand that why is it that it is so difficult, it's almost heavy for you to communicate that this is what I'm going through, and in all honesty, I'm just where I do not know what to do anymore. Why is it difficult?
Right. Thank you, Uwa. So marriage is a very, very personal yet public decision. You made that decision to love someone, to marry them, but the moment you are married, it becomes a public affair. No matter how private you think your life is, someone is looking. You are influencing someone, even as as close as your children. And family and marriage is also very sensitive. Sensitive in the fact that it's their private life. People feel I can keep things private. And aside that, our conditioning, our society, the way our environment is, there is something about marriage that comes with secrecy, that comes with,
Hmm.
being sacred, that comes with, this a bit of respect. You reverence your marriage, you reverence your family life. There, you don't wash your dirty linens in public. There are some things you don't want your neighbor to hear. So you grow up and you see that. You grow up, maybe your parents or aunties who had crisis in their marriage. It was open to you because you are close family members, and you saw how they coded it, they managed it,
Hmm.
so all of this conditioning, it is deep for a lot of us, that when we have issues in our marital life, and as a matter of fact, it is not just marriage, but like I said, marriage seems to be more private. It seems to be that I'm sharing my life with this person. What would people say? That's also there. What would people say? We all want to keep up this attitude that everything is fine, and so we are afraid. The fear of what would someone say, how would they perceive me, what would they think of my partner, what would they think of me? They would think I can't hold a marriage, I can't hold a relationship, and all of that. But much critically is our conditioning, how we have been socialized, how the environment has made us realize that marriage is private. Everything that happens in there must die in there. Even when
Hmm.
someone is going through mental distress, they believe that do not wash your dirty linens in public. And so the fear also comes to play, the stigma of, if I tell A, am I sure A would be confidential with my secrets, with this sensitive matter? If I tell B, and because people have also failed, someone tells, oh, I told Sister Kemi about my issue, and before I knew it, 7 other people have heard about it. So, and when people hear that story, that also gives them that caution. They are reframed from, who exactly do I talk to? And that's why
Hmm.
in recent times, say in the past 10, 15 years, where the sensitization, the information about counseling, about therapy, about speaking with psychiatrists, psychologists, psychotherapists has now helped a bit. It's getting better, unlike when we started at about 10, 8 years ago,
Yeah.
compared to what's happening now, where people think that, oh, I can speak with a professional. Because also in some time past, people have spoken with their religious leaders and they have been disappointed, because you
Hmm.
speak to a counselor, a pastor, or an imam, anybody in the religious, authority, and then during the weekly service, your story is actually used as an example, as
In
perhaps
church.
in church. And sometimes too, your name is mentioned, because we have had cases like that. And they just, the pastor just said, even Sister Kemi sitting there, she told me 2 weeks ago our husband slapped her, our Akinekon molested. So, and all of these, they are very sensitive matters. Because many a times, even when the issue gets resolved, how many
Hmm.
people do you tell? But the most important thing is people's sanity, your emotional wellness. Yes, there should be third party in marriage. There's nothing like you don't have third party in marriage. There's nothing like that. Every marriage needs a third party. But the caution there is a third party that you trust, that you know that your secret is safe with, that you know that they will not be biased, they will not judge you, they will look at the issue
Absolutely.
and be able to decipher, to let you know what needs to be done. So at some point, people need, so as a society as well, we need to be welcoming, we need to be open, we need to be receptive of the fact that people are going through issues and they need people to talk to. I've been a counselor 15 years and I have two counselors as well. Like we say, every counselor has a counselor, because there were times also I had to reach out to speak with someone about things I just felt I can handle. And that was fine,
Hmm.
because I had the understanding that at some point I need someone to lean on, right? So we just need to come to that point where everybody needs to accept that it's okay to talk about your challenges. It's okay to share your problems. The caution, therefore, is to look for someone We will not be biased. We will not judge you. We will look at issues, critically and evaluate things so that you can have a great outcome that you really want. Right.
Absolutely, Kemi. I mean, so for me, I said you cannot shame the shameless. I am shameless, so you cannot shame me. You know how? Because I realized that I need to protect my mental health. So if I am going through stuff, the only way
Mm.
that I can actually rise above it is actually when I'm able to talk about it. So if I am afraid that somebody would use my story as gist, then I'm not ready to find healing within. I'm not ready to, because I really do not care if you want to use my story as just away. That's your headache. I have taken off the burden of my neck. But you see, society is
So let's
putting a lot of pressure on a lot of
quickly.
people.
Right.
Go
Our
ahead.
level of growth, our level of growth, our level of open-mindedness is different. You know, maybe 5, 7, 10 years ago as well, you may not say this because you were not at this level at that time. And there are several other people as well who is not UWA or who is not at the stage that UWA is in life. They've not been to the courses you've taken, they've not been to the programs, they've not read the books you've read, they don't have the same perception and mindset like you. And it's okay for them to be at that place. And that's why your platforms like this is help to sensitize more people to let them realize you have to also what? Level up and come to that place of growth and awareness to own your problem. Like you say, there's no shame for the, how did you put that, your phrase?
You
But
cannot
it's
shame the
important
shameless.
that, it's important that people know that everything is in, just not everybody will come online to talk about things like that. You were bold enough and open enough to share. We also need to realize that sharing doesn't mean you have to come online to share. Not everybody will be UWA. Sometimes the only person you
Mm-hmm.
need to sit down to share with is just a counselor or a friend, a trusted friend, or a confidant. That's also part of your sharing and just get to onboard them. But some people then think, oh, why is sharing online? Let me get the next, do my next video. No, because we have also had people come into our counseling session who are broken with the fact that they came online to share sensitive stories. Not that they were wrong to have done that, but maybe not the right time. Maybe not the right time, or maybe not the right platform, right? Because not everybody can, can manage your vulnerability, right? Because
Mm.
they are both on the same page that it's okay to share. Sharing your burden one to another. There's no definition of where it should be, either in front of a pastor, in front of a
Absolutely.
counselor, your mom, your friend, online if you think is where you want to, right?
Absolutely. All right, so let us now dig into the crux of the conversation tonight, which is redeeming a rocky marriage. And trust me, Emmy, when I put up this
Yeah.
flyer on my WhatsApp status, I do not get comments online. My people are on WhatsApp and they like to remain anonymous. But a man sent me a message and he says, "Good evening, Uwa. So I have not had sex with my wife in the past 2 years. And this is, I
Yes.
am not exaggerating, right? How
Yeah.
is it possible for me to go back? Because at this point, I really, really feel we should go our separate ways." So you are the madam that says everything is redeemable. So that is a very, very sad. Remember when we talked about the 10 signs to know you're in a rocky marriage? When your sex
Right.
life dwindles, so this person
Mm.
has not had sex in the past. Tell me, is it
2 years.
possible for somebody not to have sex in the past 2 years with it, and they are living together under the same roof? Like I put
Oh,
my hand
yes.
on my head when I sent me that.
Yes, it's in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years in marriage. Yeah, it happens. People live together and not have sex. But back to the question you read, a lot has certainly happened in the relationship for there not to be sexual intimacy in 2 years, obviously. So we can't isolate sex. A lot has happened before it got to sex. It might have started with
Hmm.
sex or started with any other thing. It could be communication, it could be infidelity, it could be disrespect, it could be anger, it could be, anything might have happened because every marriage, at least 8 out of 10 marriage, will go through some level of crisis, particularly
Yeah.
marriages over 5 years. Every
Hmm.
8 out of 10 marriages, there will be that season where things will go down. The love will go down. The feeling, the intimacy will dwindle. it will be frustrated. Not because you don't love each other, but life happens. The children come, you have a career to pursue, you have academic dreams, you have life to follow, you have, things to take care of, sickness happens, and there is no money, there's a bit of disconnection, someone has to travel. So in that relationship, we can't, there isn't much to say other than a lot has happened for there to get there. And these two people need to come to a decision. You've not had sex for 2 years. They have to come to a decision. That's the fact. That's the truth. So is the woman sleeping with someone else? That's another story. Is the man also having, show with someone else? That's another, possibility. But what do the two of them want? If you want to be in a marriage, there are terms. There are laws that guide relationship. You can't do marriage anyhow. You can't do relationship anyhow. So the two of them need to have that hot conversation. It's going to be hot. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to take a lot of humility. It's going to take a lot of, openness and vulnerability, honesty to say, this is where this marriage is. Let's evaluate it. This is where it is. What is working? What is not working? What can work? What cannot work? They have to, to the tiniest. And that's why I started by saying it's not a regular conversation. We have had conversations like this in therapy, and people exchange slap, they exchange verbal abuse, they exchange blows, even in the room. So it's a hot conversation, because for a marriage not to be having sex for 2 years, a lot of things might have happened. The man is not letting us know. Maybe for time reason, for time, a lot of things must have, So that is also a major sign, because there is no way you would have a friend, you call your partner, your spouse. If you are intimate, if you share, if you talk, if you play. Okay, people have not had sex in 2 years for health reasons, but they are still having a good relationship. Because there is more to marital relationship than sex. Life happens. People are not there for health issues. Sex is, but they are sharing affection, they are sharing intimacy, and every other area is good. But for what the man has said, they've not had sex, and it's not saying it is because, oh, my wife is sick, or my husband, okay, is the man, my wife is, and I'm going through temptation. That's not the question. So something, there is a breakdown somewhere. There needs to be a proper assessment to know where the relationship is. Is it already in coma, or they need emergency room immediately? As counselor, I am always very positive.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm always very positive that there is no marriage that can be redeemed, that can be restored, that can be revived, that can be salvaged. Except one person or both parties have resolved that this marriage, it can't work. We've seen bad cases.
Absolutely. But absolutely. Sorry to cut you short, Kemi, because when you're talking about sex, you know how women have been programmed to think that every time that they are quarreling with their spouse, the first thing to do is to deprive him of sex. My sister, even I was programmed that way. But I soon borrowed myself brain, because by now I need to understand that sex is not meant for the man alone. If you are programmed to that sex is meant for the husband to enjoy, I also need to enjoy sexual pleasure. So now sex is no longer a tool. Even if we are quarreling, we'll finish the do. When we do the do finish, then we continue the quarrel. But I'm no longer using sex as a tool to say, if we're not having sex, I'm angry with you, I'm not having sex. So because I need you to understand, because help women to understand this, because I think women have been programmed to feel like if they use sex as a tool, you understand, they can pass their anger or their grievance across to their partner. So sex is not a tool for the man alone to enjoy. Sex is both ways. So if you are depriving your husband, thinking that, oh yes, it will pain him, you're also suffering yourself. So me, I do not do that anymore. We will finish the do in the other room, then we continue the quarrel. But I'm not doing that anymore. So maybe you should help me break down that.
Yes, sex is a gift from God, and it's something that every woman should enjoy, both male and female. I still believe in the confinement of marriage, anyways. And then, you said it all. It's conditioning. It's our programming. Is the things, people come into. So I had a sex class about 2 weeks ago, and one of the women mentioned what you just said. She came into marriage thinking that sex is just for the husband to enjoy. That she didn't come into marriage with the mindset of, I want to come and enjoy sex. She was raised, she saw her sisters say it, she saw the movie portrayed it, the conditioning from the society, from the environment is that men need sex, men want sex, give your husband sex. So she came in with the mindset of sex is a duty, not fun, not something to look forward to. It's just your husband wants it, just lie down there, make sure open your legs, do the do, and get away, right? So people have different beliefs they came into marriage with. And like we know, your belief determine your disposition. So it took her a long time when the husband would now be saying, let's do this style, let's do this one, let's, hang your leg on the ceiling. And she was like, what's all this nonsense? Just do the thing and get away. So it took her a long time for reprogramming to happen for her to begin to enjoy sex. So conditioning is number one. So people come into, so how do we change our wrong conditioning? It's by knowledge. It's by knowledge and exposure. So, and that's why this platform is here again. Sex is a gift, both to the man and to the woman. As a matter of fact, in the analogy of the woman, women actually need sex more than the men. We need it more and we enjoy it more than the men. Men just want to have sex. Women need to have sex. They enjoy it more. Particularly when you are with a friend, someone you love, where there is closeness, and then you put your mind to enjoy the act. Right? So anyone who feels that is a tool for me to, I wouldn't blame such a woman, because that's what she knows. She's operating at a level of knowledge to say that, and maybe it has worked for her. So she's been asking the man for something, and the man hasn't responded, and she withheld sex, and the man responded. Are you with me? So she feels, okay, this thing is working. So next time she does it again. But for how long? For how long? There are some, there are some women who are not as, sexually desired. Their libido may not be as high as their partner. They can do without sex 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, even 6 months. Some women are like that. So for women that are like that, it may work. But for other women who want sex and you are depriving yourself because you want to punish your partner, no, you can actually initiate sex. Call for it is a right in marriage. It's part of the thing you signed. I do to knock ourselves.
I have left that one very quickly. I have started initiating it. Before I used to just wait, but now we've been delivered. All right, so thank you to everyone again that is watching. Yeah, thank you to everyone that is watching. I think Bonnie Cross is asking a question. I had to pull out 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 12. I do not understand what is there. Maybe you would help us break it down. He's asking regarding 1 Timothy 2 and this platform on teaching, is this not a sin in God's word? I don't get it. So I don't understand your question. It says, so this is not a place for, but what is but what of I suffer not a woman to teach nor to observe authority over a man, but to be silent. Really? So these are it's because of you, Bonnie, we are here. These are the kind of programming that are you saying, maybe you should help us clarify, are you saying that women should not be seen, we should just be quiet, we should not talk? That's your comment, but please let the comments start coming, because we're going to be moving into, so tell Kemi, if you wanted to redeem a rocky marriage, right? Someone's marriage is like down, below, under. Where do you even start from? What would you do?
Right. So the first thing we need to do is to know the first assessment we do is actually called marital health assessment. So that assessment tells us the state of their marriage. We have it in about 4 categories. So when they do the assessment, we can elicit the fact that their marriage is either blissful. If it's not blissful, it is average. If it's not average, it is emergency. If it's not emergency, it is coma. So these 4 rating of marital assessment helps us to know the state, helps us to know the severity, of the damage that has been done to the marriage. Either the marriage is just, meaning that there is an emergency, that this marriage needs emergency. Else, things is going to go to coma. And like we know, coma simply means it's close to the grave. It's close to, divorce. And can it be salvaged? Yes, but it's going to take a long time. So these are some of the things we do when we are trying to help, couples who are having, going through a major phase, a crisis in their relationship. Like you say, when the marriage is rocky, when it has gone stale, when it's looking really troubled, and the both party are not happy. When there is no peace, there is no joy, there is no friendship, there is no growth, there is no connection, there is no intimacy, and you are at that point where you are considering. Yes, as counselors, we need to ask what the both parties want, and usually you will have different kind of responses. Some want the marriage, but they don't want the marriage the way it is, which means you don't want the marriage. They want the marriage, but they don't want the marriage the way it is, which means you are agreeing that things need to change. And some would say they outrightly want a divorce. And some would say, okay, let's separate for a while, maybe 9 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 months, or whatever. And so during the separation, we come up with a plan for them. We come up with like a regular plan they have to do. Because one of the mistakes people make is that they say, okay, let's separate. And they separate without no concrete plan, charts of what to do on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, so that by the time they are coming back to reconcile, if there is a possibility of reconciliation, it makes their reunion easy, because everybody they have their own share of responsibilities to do. Maybe take courses. If it's anger management, we send you for that. If it's communication skills you need to learn, you learn it during that time that you are separated. But people just separate and go their different ways. So once we do the evaluation, we let you know this is the state of your marriage. And usually they affirm that yes, things have gone bad. So the 4 questions I asked earlier, what is working in your relationship right now? We begin to highlight it. What is working? So what is not working? Usually it comes in different ways. This one is working. We also highlight it. What can work? So sometimes people find it difficult to write what can work, and that is also an indication that there is trouble, right? And then what cannot work. So when we also put that together, so let's say for instance we have a couple who have a few highlights of what can work, meaning that if these things work in our relationship can move from crisis to happiness to healthy, right? So now there is task, because it takes a lot of humility to revive a rocking marriage. That's one thing people learn when they come to therapy. It takes a lot of humility, because in the process of that marriage, getting to danger, getting to crisis, getting to being troubled at different stages. Sometimes the rockiness that marriages go through was laid at the foundation, faulty foundation. It's just like we want to build an house, we want to erect a building. Once the foundation is wrong, you cannot have a foundation for a bungalow and build a duplex. At some point, it will get, it will bend. And if adjustment is not at the right time,
let's stay on the foundation. Kemi, let's stay on the foundation. So this foundation of a lot of marriages have been built on a rocky, like a very wrong foundation. Is it still a redeemable marriage?
Faulty foundation. Yeah, it is, but it's going to take a lot more. As a matter of fact, the chances for a rocky marriage that the fundamental issues are at the foundation has little chances. And the ones that has little chances is going to require an intense work that is also going to take a longer time, and it's going to take a lot of monitoring. Because they need to be accountable as they go on that journey, because anything can spark. I hope you understand what I mean. So when we have discovered that the issues are more foundational, they are fundamental issues, because it's going to take us going back. There are some that will be correctable, and there are some they have to manage for as long as they want to be together. So I share a quick story. So recently we had, thank you for asking that question. It's similar to what I'm going to, talk about briefly. In assessing their about 12 or 13 years of marriage, 50% of the crises were foundational. The reasons they got married, the time they got married, the kineko, a lot of things has happened. And so over the years, they've had good times, bad time, and they're at a point where we keep patching and patching. But before that time, they never had to speak with a professional counselor. So I was able to help them see that these are the issues. This one, you may have to just manage it for the rest of your life. And these are people who were not ready to go their separate ways because they had a lot together. They didn't want to divorce. So they wanted an option where their relationship can still, it can be workable pretty much. You can manage things, right? And so they both came to that agreement. They had investment together, they had businesses together, they had projects running, they had children together. And so they had to consider a few things to say marriage may not even solve our problem right now, as a matter of fact. Divorce. So how can we? So it's taken us a long time to work with them. So with them, because as a counselor, I'm not supposed to find solution for them. They know themselves better. I'm just supposed to be their guide, to guide and to coach and to support them. So they both came out. These are the things that is not working that can work. I think if my partner does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I also do highlight it, and we are committed to our own part of the deal, right? I think we can move our relationship from a 5 to a 7. Even if we may not get to a 10 because of fundamental issues, where we'll be better, obviously, from a 4 or 3 to a 7. Are you with me? So this is also going to take a long time. So we are looking at the major things that is missing in the relationship. And sometimes it could be a negative mindset, a negative thought pattern that has eaten up one of the individuals in the marriage, and the person cannot see a silver lining. The person is just being, the cognitive, that person is being parallel. There is nothing good in this relationship. And so in therapy, we open their eyes to see. And that also helps them to begin to have a better representation of their situation. That maybe perhaps it's not as bad as you think. Just a little touch here, a little improvement here. Right? And then so when each party takes their own bulk of the job to be done, and a lot of monitoring, like I said, continuous assessment, because it's not a counseling you want to do in 1 month. Couples like that, 6 months, 9 months, we are there because we are dealing with deeper issues that has affected the relationship for 10, 12, 13 years. Yes, that's sometimes some sessions, some therapy sessions in counseling can take a long time, depending on the what we are dealing with. Some cases are mild, some are moderate, some are chronic or severe. So some in 1 month they are done, but some. So, and that's why we always establish it. What we are dealing with in your marriage, both of you can see it. It's going to take humility. It's not time to be saying the blame and you did that, you did that. When you are going to redeem it, there are several things that has to go. You also have to look at your current reality. What's good? What have you not been paying attention to? Do you have expectations of your partner that is unrealistic? The person cannot deliver your expectations. And you are just being fixated. This is the way you should do. This is the way you should do. And so we also help you to reevaluate those expectations. Why is this person not delivering on this expectation?
Kemi, I love where you're going with expectation, right? I love where you're going with expectation. So I know a couple that because this man has refused to stay faithful to his partner. So the resolution that they came to is that let us have an open relationship. So now that you are going to play away match outside, it's fine. So give me also the room to be able to play away match without feeling any guilty or whatever. And that has been the strategy, and that's what is working for them. They are in an open relationship, so there's no headache. Because I think a lot of time when you have a cheating spouse, and it seems like with every day the cheating is increasing every time, and then your head can't, or your heart can't take it, right? So can we all start even moving towards that, because I know you bring your Bible matter now that no, it's not possible. But I mean, this person has done it. It's a strategy, is working for them. They are in an open relationship. So as you are playing your away match, me if I'm playing my away match, and we all have peace of mind. But
yes, as a matter of fact, there are marriages like the one I just mentioned. They do not want a divorce, but we need to come up with a strategy where the marriage can be managed. They know they are in a friendship, but they are not married. So what I'm getting at is the example you have cited. I am a Christian,
Yes.
but I am not a Christian counselor. I work as a
Mm.
psychotherapist, meaning I work with my clients, with my skills, with my experiences, and with my knowledge. I don't
Yes.
do just based. I'm just clarifying that based on what you mentioned. Yes, I'm a Christian, my values are intact. But when I work with my clients, I don't decide for my client. So we have also had
Thank
cases
you.
couples have said, you know what, particularly when it comes to disrespect and cheating and infidelity, particularly with an unrepentant spouse, with a serial cheater, and you have realized that I can't live this marriage. I've worked so much to leave. My children are here, because sometimes too, it's okay to stay for your children, depending on a lot of circumstances, so that people don't misquote me. Sometimes it is okay to stay in a marriage because of your children, particularly to look at, maybe you are looking at the age and the time and things like that. So there are lots of, and this where
Mhm.
counseling helps. It helps you, it opens your mind. You are not fixated on just one thing. We open it up and we help you look for a way where you are still in the marriage, as long as there's no threat to your life. You are still enjoying peace. There's no disturbance to your, not in any form of violence, but not in any form of threat to your life. You can eat, you can achieve your dreams, you can go out, you can sleep soundly. If the person has money, he or she is giving you, or you have your own money, but maybe sex is not going to happen. We have people who come into session to say that they have treated all manners of STDs and they are nowhere
Mm.
going to have sex with their partner. So they have come to
Mhm.
a point where this person is a serial cheater. He or she is not going to change. I would rather let him be. Let's have an understanding. But what we have found out also is that one person wants to keep playing the away match and is not considering the other partner. Usually the
Mm.
men. They're like, oh, the woman cannot. But like we know, the law of relationship is in both ways. You cannot say you are committed to a person who is not committed to you. Something is
Absolutely.
wrong. You cannot be dedicated and say, oh, I'm going to be staying faithful to the other person who is not. Even if you make that decision, for how long will you stay? So someone has cheated round the clock for 5 years consistently, and you have never, and you have treated STDs, because these are realities that people share in counseling, and you make them realize, so what do you want until you die? Until you
Mm.
catch an infection that is not going to be, we had spouses who are treating herpes, treating chlamydia, because treating all kinds of things, and their life is at risk. So people come to that agreement to say, you know what, I free you to go. I can also have, a partner.
Mm. Mm.
I free you to
Mm.
go. Because in as long as we are both not coming to that point where we both want to do what is right to make our relationship thrive and work, then we have to, live by our reality, which is the fact that we don't
Absolutely.
have a relationship. We are living together, and our marriage certificate still means that we are married, but in the ideal situation, you are not.
Hmm.
So what is happening
Hmm.
is that we are coming up with a package for you because you don't want to divorce. And I can tell you, there are several couples like that who you may not know. They are not divorced because a lot is at stake, but they are not married. They are having a relationship, as
Kemi,
it were.
Kemi. Why am I loving you tonight?
It's,
Okay.
it's
So let's
difficult to
quickly talk
say.
about.
That's what
Hmm.
happens. That's what happens. That's why marriage is
Hmm.
commitment. It's
Hmm.
commitment. I want to be 100% committed, and you are 100% committed. If it's not
Because
happening,
you see,
everybody has,
I hate the disposition that men think that it is only them that know how to go out to cheat. I mean, the fact that I am not
right,
cheating on you does not mean that I do not know how to go and sleep with another man outside. You understand? So,
right,
and consistently you take for granted and you just keep on. I mean, it is actually wrong and it is unfair. So it is better we lay all the
right,
cards on the table and we have that frank conversation. If we have those kind of
right,
conversation, trust me, no woman will have that kind
right,
of conversation and know that yes, okay, we've agreed, and now still, and now still be, she will not have hypertension. I mean, a lot of women have come up with cancer, they are dying
right.
because of the emotional pain giving them
Right.
physical body sickness. So if we start to
Right.
help people, because you already know, I mean, I already read out the 10 signs of the rocky marriage. You already know that these signs, your marriage ticks almost all the boxes. So what you do? Seek a professional like Kemi. If you cannot seek a professional, you sit down with your spouse and talk. But I would prefer you actually sit with a professional to have that conversation. But a lot of times we shy away from conversations like this, and at the end of the day, you just hear, this person died. You know what killed him? She was so young, and all of that. She was going through a lot of pain, but she refused to talk about it because she was afraid of what the society would say. As I mentioned earlier, this page is not for everybody. It is for the few people that really need help and genuinely, get some level of some level of freedom. Because I don't judge anybody. It was before that they would say, "Oh, a woman cheated." I would say, why? Now, trust me, after 15 years of marriage, you tell me a woman cheated, I do not ask why. I do not ask why. Trust me. All right, but you wrote a book, Kemi. You wrote a book on designing. I have it on the screen showing designing the marriage you will love, right? I just want you to tell me a little bit about this book, because for me, I looked at it. Is it possible to design a marriage that you truly love?
Right. Okay. So thank you. I wrote the book. It's my third book. I released it this year at my 40th, and I wrote that book with a lot of concern. I started hosting singles 2003. I started hosting monthly seminars, and then along the line we had young couples join in, and it has grown over the years until we took a break 2 years ago. And that gave me that brought me into different worlds, into different stories of pre-marriage and marriage. And in my years of study, I've always been fantasized about relationship and marriage and love and all of those things. So, and I've studied, in depth. And I realize marriage can be beautiful. I don't have a perfect marriage, but I'm happy. It's beautiful. It's working. And I realized that if people have the right knowledge, the right understanding, and they are willing to put in the effort, it's possible to have a beautiful relationship. Because I see that relationship and marriage is one of the gifts from humanity. It's one of the gifts from divinity to humanity, and it's not a gift given to us to cause us pain, like you've mentioned, to cause us mental distress, to cause us emotional, breakdown, to cause us health issues. No, it is human frailty. Marriage is beautiful. It is human frailties that makes it undesirable, right? So from my experience in working with a lot of singles, a lot of young couples, and also married couples, I just wanted to share what I know and what has worked over the years of my counseling, working with a lot of people, and also my personal experience, to say that if you put in the work, even if it's not going to be perfect. There's no perfect marriage anywhere, because the two people in the marriage are imperfect, right? But it can be near perfect. It can be beautiful. It can be working. It can be something fulfilling, satisfying, that you look forward to. I know that part where people say marriage is risky. Yes, it is, because it takes two. You can do everything you know to do, and then the other partner, is not, giving the same positivity and energy. Life happens. And that's why I wrote the book for singles and newlyweds. People who are maybe in a relationship or 18 years and above can read the book. 18 years and above. Once you understand, dating and all of that, and then 5 years below in marriage. This gives you the step-by-step guidelines of laying the right foundation, because it is called designing. And when I was thinking about the book, is how you can start your marriage from the foundation, laying the right foundation, having the right understanding, having the right skills and strategies on the what type of marriage do you actually want. That's actually going to determine what you are going to design. What type of marriage do you want? So it takes them step by step as a single person, what to do, what to avoid, what to look out for, how to prepare yourself, understanding the concept of marriage. And if you're also newlywed, how to start with your partner in having a concrete, vision a concrete constitution, a concrete plan, how you want this marriage to be, and trusting God that it works out, because it can work out. If you do the right thing, pick the right partner who can synergize and align with you, and that the both of you, it makes it easier. When we have a dream of, oh, this is what we are doing, and we the both of us follow. This is what we are promoting, and this is what we want to do, and it just goes in sync. And then, because some people just think once I marry the right person, that's all. No, that's just the foundation. One of the foundations. You have married the right person. Then you need to begin to do the right things to keep the marriage popping. It is not just I've had God. You can hear God and your marriage will still fail, because God will play his part. And you have a part to play. You can hear God, you can see him drag your hand and say that's your husband. And then if you don't do the right things, you don't know how to communicate, you don't know how to resolve conflict, you don't understand love language, you don't know how to have sex, you don't know how to play, you don't know how to recreate, you don't know how to have a family time, you don't know how to, be friends. Everybody wants to be friends with their partner, but it doesn't take prayers. There are skills to be
Wow.
learned on how to communicate with your partner, on how to resolve conflict, on how to come to a table of own management, on how to have a better, so there's a lot I've put together in the book that I wish every single person, would have and read and apply, the practical steps I've shared in my own little way of helping people start their marriage right and design the marriage they will love. Yeah, it's absolutely possible, I
Thank you
believe.
so much, Kemi. I mean, we've overshot our time, but I cannot just let you. I want to ask one final question, right?
Right.
Do you think? Um, how do you think, rather, we should stop? How do you think we can reprogram ourselves? Because I find happen a lot, especially when you have started, when you are like 10 years in marriage, 15 years in marriage. When you just got married, the love still a shack. I realized couples start to take for granted their partners. Like see finish. You begin to see the person finish. I've seen everything. I know the shape of your VJJ. You know the shape of his whatever. So they have
Right.
seen you. They've seen it all, and they begin to take you for granted, right? So how do we help? Right, because it's all those are the signs that makes the marriage begin to become rocky. When you do not see the person, you're no longer reference the person the way you were chasing the person and all of that. You just begin to look at the person. I beg, I've been there, done that. So how do we help couples not to see each
Mm,
other finish? you know
mm. It's thank you for the question. It's unfortunate that many of us we don't actually know the reason we got married to our partners. We don't know
hmm.
why we got married, and that is actually very important. If you don't know the reason why you are doing something, at some point, it will go. It will be frustrated. So sometimes we also have to look back,
Hmm.
because that's part of the assessment we do. Because your reason for doing something is more than even doing that thing. Your reason for
Hmm.
getting married to this person. If you marry for the body, if you marry for the fame, if you marry for the money, it's going to show at some point in the marriage. Right. But when you
Hmm.
marry, and that's what we are promoting, marry because you love, you want to serve, and you want to hold the hand of this person to do life together, whereby you are both fulfilling your life purposes. You want to serve this person, you want to love this person, you want to hold this person's hand and support that person. That person wants to get to Z, and you are saying, don't worry, we'll get there together. I've just said this in one
Hmm.
or two sentences, but there's a lot I've put together. Because when you say you want to serve
Absolutely.
someone, you don't excuse yourself when because you think that you have been with the person 10, 15 years. The vision you see
Hmm.
is more than 5 or 10 or 15 years. You are seeing beyond. Marriages will go
Hmm.
through different phases. There are about 5 or 7 stages marriages will go through. And our foundation, the reason why we are with this person, being open to knowledge. I go back to knowledge. Marital
Hmm.
education is very important, and not just what we hear. Because I find that people just jump on air. It's deep. Say it. Oh, I hear you. It's fantastic. But it will be a disservice after someone has watched this show tonight and all your shows. and doesn't pick a lesson, at least one or two, and goes back to begin to implement. Because that's where the work is, and that's where the blessing is getting the knowledge and going home. Even if it's just one or two, you want to begin to do, to say that, okay, I think I need to stop talking to my partner in this way. I need to begin to see the possibility of, something great. I think I need to begin to look at the good side of this person. So why did we get married? Sometimes we go back there for some couples and we realize that's even where the problem is. Because people are getting married to titles. He's a doctor, he's a senator, he's a governor, he's a...
Oh, ooh la la, ooh la la, ooh la la. Did we lose Kemi? Did we lose me? Oh my goodness. Oh, this has been an amazing, amazing, amazing chat. I hope we'll try to get her back. But no. We have to bring Kemi back. Redeeming a rocky marriage. There are rocky marriages. If you're just tuning in, thank you to everyone that is watching. I can see 30 people watching us live. Thank you, everyone. We do not take your tuning in for granted. We really appreciate your time with us and sticking. I mean, these are conversations that are quiet, but these are conversations that would impact lives. And that's why this YouTube channel started in the first place. We are here to impact lives. We're here to, transform in our own little way. Let's be real with each other. Let's say it as it is, and let's find solutions. I think I have Kemi back. Kemi, you were talking about marrying a senator. Many people marry for titles, if you can hear me. Kemi, are you there? Oh, we're still losing Kemi. All right, so once because I would really need to properly sign Kemi off before we can wrap up the show. But thank you again. If you have questions or comments, or you know someone that is going through this, right? Please, when we are done with this broadcast, the link will be available. All you just need to do is share to the person and bless somebody's life. Do not keep all this information to yourself. Share to people. People are truly going through rocky marriages, and we are here. We're here. Kemi is here. You can always reach her out on her Instagram. She's all over social media. There's Facebook, there's Instagram, so you can reach her and she will be able to help. She's a professional. As I said, I am not a professional. I'm just doing me. I am, I just know how to have a great conversation. All right, so I think I'm trying to get Kemi back. Kemi, if you're with me, are you there? Kemi, are you there? Oh, sugar, we're having troubles. We're having troubles trying to log Kemi back on. Oh, sugar. Now, this is what technology does for us, or does to us. But thank you, honestly, thank you. This comment from Bonnie Cross, I do not understand. It says, but I suffer not a woman to teach nor to observe authority over a man, but to be silent. I'm not saying it's scripture. Is dancing in a sexual manner on Twitter a hypocrisy on your end? So I don't know what you're referring to or who you're referring to. So train your young women to love their husband and children, to be self-controlled, pure, working at home, kind and submissive to their own husband, and the word of God may not be reviled. So with you, Bonnie, I think you would need to reach out to Kemi, honestly, because these are the kinds of mindset that we would need to correct. I don't think a woman working in the home or whatever, that is a sign of her being submissive. I don't think so, right? But I think sadly we can't reach Kemi again, but we'd have to end the broadcast. Thank you so much, Kemi. Thank you to everyone. We're going to bring Kemi back. Hopefully, maybe she will just agree to come back next week Sunday, so we'll just continue the conversation. But I'll put up the post. But thank you, everyone that watched. God bless you guys. We'll see you guys again next week Sunday live as we bring another great conversation to you. All right, so enjoy. Oh la la! Tonight has been an amazing night. Okay.